Good people, it is nearly time for us to part ways. But before I go, I'd like to leave you with a few words from my poem called My People. The night is beautiful, so are the faces of my people. The stars are beautiful, so are the eyes of my people. Beautiful also is the sun. Beautiful also are the souls of my people. Stay beautiful, stay gifted, and stay proud. Good night to everyone.
Wow, Mr. Langston Hughes. Isn't he awesome? Well, our final scholar here tonight is another member of the Harlem Renaissance and our only female presenter tonight. She is an amazing, prolific writer, author, storyteller, filmmaker, and I'm so delighted that she's joined us here tonight. I'm speaking of none other than the dynamic Miss Zora Neale Hurston, played by our very own Elder Rona Woods.
Zora had a way of introducing herself at every occasion. It's a privilege and an honor to be able to speak on this woman because it gave me a little time to find out who she was. I thank Shannon for allowing me to research her and find out how awesome Zora Neale Hurston was, and that she did not get her recognition when she was here, but she lives on through the other writers and journalists that has come after her. Zora Neale Hurston. Painting a picture, and I'm going to be in and out talking about her and then being her. It was May 1st, 1925, New York City. A literary contest among Negro Americans and their literature. 316 people, black people, all black. People like Fannie Hurst, James Weldon Johnson, and of course, you too, Langston Hughes was there. And the most prizes, believe it or not, went to a woman who only published one story at that time, and it was Miss Zora Neale Hurston. She placed second place for her play, Color Struck. Zora was born January 7th, 1891, in Nastasoga, Alabama. Her family then moved to Eatonville in 1894. Now, Eatonville, Florida, in 1887, was the first black township in the United States. The Negroes of Eatonville knew that Zora wrote, the Negroes of Eatonville knew a number of things that the hustling, bustling white man never dreams of. Eatonville was a place where African Americans could live as they desired, independent of the white society. In 1901, Zora had the opportunity to have some northern school teachers to come down to Eatonville and to allow them to read different books. And that is when Zora felt like she had a new birth because she fell in love with literature at that time. Unfortunately, her mother passed and she was sent away to boarding school. Her father remarried, and the new wife didn't want anything to do with Zora. Sometimes you think that could be a bad thing, but it turned around for her good, amen? When she moved immediately to Jacksonville, Florida, she, for the first time, felt like she was colored. Because in Eatonville, you understand, everybody looked like her, talked like her, did the same thing she did. She didn't have any aspect of what color was. But at that time, she knew that she was colored. And one day, when her and her friend Barbara Jean went to Orlando on the train with her mother. They took a picture. And when they took the picture, they looked at it. And Zora said, Barbara Jean, we are different color. And Barbara Jean's mama said, well, sure you are, Zora. And she said, you're just the N. And Zora at that time was like, I didn't know whether I should be mad because she called me an N-word or because she said I'm just an N. So I don't know. Out of that situation, Color Struck was written. It was a play, 1926. Within your own race, we have intra-racism. Light-skinned blacks reject and separate themselves from darker brethren. You know what I'm saying? Even Spike Lee brought it out when he had, what was the name of that movie? School Days. When you had the wannabes and the jigaboos. It was pretty much the same concept, but Zora brought that out first in her book titled Color Struck. Zora explains in her essay titled, How It Feels to Be Colored Me. This is another one of her essays that she wrote. Zora says, but I am not tragically colored. There is no great sorrow locked up in my soul, nor lurking behind my eyes. I do not mind at all. I'm black and I'm proud. I refuse to belong to the school of Negrohood who had that nature someone has given them a low-down dirty deal. The world is to the strong, regardless of a little pigmentation, whether it's more or less. I am always reminded that I am the granddaughter of slaves. It fails to register depression within me. See, at that time, slavery was only 60 years to Zora in the past. It's 400 years for us today. The operation was successful, and the patient is doing well. Thank you. The terrible struggle that made me an American out of a potential slave said, on the line, the Reconstruction said, get set, and the generation before said, go. I am off to a flying start, and I must not halt in the stretch to look behind and weep and blame slavery. Slavery is the price paid for civilization. The choice was not with me. It was with my forefathers. Zora went on to soar and soar, and her 1937 novel is considered a classic. Their eyes were watching God, of the Harlem Renaissance of the 1920s, and is likely Hurston's best-known work. In 2005, Oprah Winfrey produced Zora's novel, bringing to light racial and personal independence, not following what others tell you your future holds, but instead following God. Their eyes were watching God. Following God, amen. Zora Hurston has written a multitude of essays, 4 novels, journals, plays, films, folklores, and newsletters. Eatonville now celebrates her life annually with Zora Neale Hurston's Festivals of Arts and Humanities. A library named in her name and in her honor opened in 2004. Alice Walker, who is also an American novelist, short stories writer, poet, social activist, sought to identify Hurston's grave when she died. See, Hurston left with nothing, and she was buried with no tombstone, but Alice Walker found her tombstone, inscribed it, a genius of the South. Ladies and gentlemen, Zora Neale Hurston was a magnificent woman. Amen.
And one more time, let's hear it for our scholars of the Harlem Renaissance and post-Reconstruction. And they do an awesome job, and they each research these characters, and I encourage you to, if you're interested, keep looking, keep learning about our history and those who have shaped it. And I thank Sister Brenda for this opportunity.